This video is going to be a little bit different. I'm doing this, I debated on whether or not to even do this video. I'm going to be making a New York style creamy cheesecake. I made this recipe last weekend. First time I ever made a homemade cheesecake. Turned out amazing. I even surprised myself. Our youngest son, Jesse, knew that I was making this cheesecake, and a few days later just got this random text out of the blue. I like cheesecake too. Okay. I said, well, I think I'm going to make another one on Easter Sunday. He goes, okay, I can't wait to try it. Well, here I am, Easter Sunday, 2024, March 31st, and I'm making this cheesecake. I debated on not making the cheesecake, and especially not doing the video. Because a couple of days ago, on March 29th, 2024, at 1:36 p.m., our youngest son, Jesse David Hernandez, took his last breath. So I'm making this video, and I'm making this cheesecake in Jesse's honor. I just hope it turns out as good as it did the last time. Go ahead and hit that like button, that subscribe button. Subscribe to this channel, will you? It helps with all these YouTube algorithms. And let me turn around and reset this camera, and we'll go ahead and get started. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, to start with, I'm going to start with the crust. I've got my oven preheating to 340 degrees. I have 12 rectangles of graham crackers. I'm going to put them into a Ziploc bag. You can do it multiple different ways. I've seen do it with a mixer, with a blender, with a food processor, all kinds of different ways. To me, it's just about as easy just to do it like this. You just want to get it rolled out to where you basically got crumbs. Doesn't have to be tiny crumbs, doesn't have to be big crumbs. They don't have to be uniform. And that's why some people like the food processor, because it gets you all uniform crumbs, and it's almost like a slurry. That's very ununiform, which is fine. So we got the crumbs there, and I've got some granulated sugar, and I've got some butter I'm melting in the microwave. You can do it in a water bath or in a microwave. I do it in a microwave, but I do it at 10-second increments, and that way it doesn't burn the butter. You definitely don't want to burn the butter. Let me grab a bowl, and I forgot to grab a bowl, and we'll get this in the springform pan. I've got my bowl here. Just going to dump my crumbled up graham crackers in there. And I'm not going up the sides of the springform pan. If you are, you're going to have to probably add about 4 more of the rectangles of graham crackers. I'm going to put the granulated sugar in there, mix it around. I'll have the full recipe in the description, so you'll know how much sugar for this, how much sugar for the filling. We're going to start with this, and then I've got my melted butter. You want 3.5 ounces. This was a 4-ounce stick. What's a half an ounce among friends? It's just I like butter, and if you're going to eat something like this, it's not very healthy to start with. Who's counting how much butter you got, right? I've got the, like I said, I've got the oven preheating at 340 because we'll want to stick this in there for a few minutes to let this crust begin to cook. Okay, now I've got my springform pan. I've heard a lot of discussion about, does the pan go with the lip down or with the lip up? Well, having only made this cheesecake once, and consequently that was the only time I've ever used this springform pan. The springform pan, when I pulled it out of the cupboard, was lip up. And I didn't like that because it's hard to get under here to dig the cheesecake out when it's done. So I'm going to do this one with the lip down. This almost takes 3 hands, but we'll figure it out. Get inside that little groove. There. Okay. Now we'll take a little bit additional butter and we are going to coat the inside of this pan. I just use a paper towel. Get it on there, and you can do whatever method you want. If you want to melt the butter and use a brush, or just whatever works for you. A lot of this stuff that we do is what I always call the Ford Chevy rule. It basically comes down to personal preference, and this is how I choose to do stuff like this, and it works for me. If it doesn't work for you, then do this however works for you. All right. So now we've got that done. Now we're going to take our graham cracker mix, pour it in there, spread it around, and now we just want to begin to pack it in there. You want to try and get it as evenly as you can. And this is a penny thick crust for a cheesecake that we're not running up the side. Now I'm just going to take a measuring cup. You can use whatever you want. And you basically just want to begin to pack it down to get it nice and solid. And at the same time, while you're doing this, it kind of evens it out. But you definitely want it to pack down good. And then we're going to stick it in that 340-degree oven, and in a few hours we'll have some cheesecake. That's what you're looking for right there. And now into the oven it goes. We're going to par bake this for about 8 or 9 minutes. And let me regather my ingredients for the filling, and while that's baking, we'll start on the filling. Okay, now we're going to make the filling. We're going to need 4 of these 8-ounce blocks of cream cheese. Room temperature. You want to take it out, let it warm up to room temperature, because if it's right out of the refrigerator and cold, it's not going to mix very, very well in the stand mixer. You can use a hand mixer. I'm going to use a stand mixer. This is one of the most valuable tools I ever bought in the kitchen. It's just so handy. I'm going to use the paddle mixer. You can use the whisk, I guess, if you want, but I'm going to use the paddle. And want to plop this stuff in there. One of these didn't open very well, so hopefully it comes out of here good. There we go. I'm just going to mix this on low and let this go for a little bit and get everything mixed in and nice and creamy, and then we'll slowly start adding in other ingredients. Now we've got some granulated sugar. Again, I'll put all the amounts of this in the description. I'm just going to slowly incorporate this. Let it kind of blend in as it goes. With all this cream cheese and all this sugar, it's really it's balanced, you know, and it's not super sweet. It's sweet, but it's not what you would think. I'll scrape some of this off and help it incorporate again, you know. And like I say, biggest thing you want to do is make sure all this gets incorporated. You know, get it off the sides, and sometimes it gets messy doing this. At least it does for me. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just a messy cook. Then after that incorporates for a little bit, then we have some heavy whipping cream. It's made a mess. And some sour cream. I first saw this, I'm like, sour cream in a cheesecake? Yeah, it helps offset all that sugar, and that's what makes it not quite so sweet. And it's just a good balance, and it also has some lemon juice in, so you're going to see that here in a little bit. There's my timer telling me that my crust is ready to come out. Here's our par-baked crust. I'll set this over here to cool. That needs to cool completely off before we put anything in it. Now I've got some cornstarch. I'll slowly incorporate that, and I'm letting everything get fully incorporated as I put it in. That way it's I'm trying to avoid any lumps. I want to have this as smooth and creamy as possible. So it ends up mixing. I got this thing on low, but it ends up mixing for a good 5 minutes anyway. Now I've got 3 egg yolks. I'm going to drop these in one at a time. As they begin to incorporate, then I'll add the next. You can see how just that one egg yolk, how that changed the color. I'm colorblind, and even I can see it. So some of the normal color vision, I'm sure you can really see the color change. There's the last little piggy. Now I've got 3 whole eggs, white and everything. And again, same thing. We want to drop in 1 egg at a time. And as it incorporates it, then we'll add another. There's a lot of steps involved in making a good creamy cheesecake. Is it that difficult? Not really. It's just time and you know, following directions and following certain steps. And if you're not good with following directions, this might come across as a challenge to you. But one of the things I learned about cooking is following directions is key. So that's all incorporated. Now I've got some pure vanilla extract and some lemon juice. Again, all the quantities of these will be in the description, so you're not guessing. Let me pause this. I want to scrape all the edges down and get this stuff off of the, whatever I can that's, might not be mixed in yet. That's on the sides of the bowl. It's that maybe the paddle's not grabbing, and you can see those stuff there. That's why you want to make sure you do all this, and make sure you're getting everything off the bottom of the bowl. And this is where it can get messy. Don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. I mean, this is such deliciousness. I mean, and when I made this before, it's like we're sitting there. I mean, I almost want to stick your face completely in this bowl to lick the bowl, and it's not even cooked yet. Just absolutely amazing. I was so stunned at how good this filling was. Not even having been in the oven, just the raw filling. Just let this mix for a little bit, get it good, and make sure everything is smooth and no lumps. You don't want any lumps. But that'll just run for another few minutes, and then we'll come back when it's done. I'll just let this run, and I'll just fast forward to it when it's done. I've got my crust here. I'm going to cook this in what is called a water bath. I've got some foil here. Get some additional foil. You want to make sure that you have enough foil in here that you don't tear it, that it doesn't rip, because you don't want any water leaking through here and ending up with a soggy crust. So you want to bring everything up like this. And it's kind of a dance because you don't want to just fold it over the top because you don't want it into the filling of the cheesecake. So you just got to bring it up there tight, just kind of fold it on like this so it stays snug. You're basically just wanting it to not get water up into the bottom of the springform pan and getting any of that water into the crust. Set it in there like that. Then you want to put warm or hot water in it. It doesn't have to be boiling. Just hot water in there. That way you're not trying to convert cold water. You just want to fill it up about a third of the way or so up the pan. You don't want the pan floating. It'll float a little bit now, but once I put the filling in it, it won't. Alright. Take this off. This is where the goodness is. That is so good. That is so good. I'm making a mess. I put my spatula away, so let me grab me another spatula that I'm going to need. This will work. I'm going to pour this liquid goodness into here. It'll soft level itself. If you're like me, you don't want to clean the pan out too good because you want some to munch on, and see, I leave it about like that, and we'll just eat the rest of that before it ever gets into the oven. I've got my oven set right now at still at 340, and it's a kind of a two-stage deal. We'll cook it at 340 for 30 minutes, and then we'll drop it down to 310 for another another hour or so. So we'll go ahead and stick this into the oven, and we'll start the timer. And we'll see you in about an hour and a half. Yeah, back to pull this thing out of the oven. Good batch of steam. I want to pull it out of this water bath very carefully. There. It jiggles a little bit in the middle, like that. That's perfectly normal. I'll let this sit here and cool for about, I'll let this cool here for about an hour, so then I'll put it in the refrigerator, and it'll sit there for 5 or 6 hours, and then we can dig in. All right, here's this cheesecake I made. I'm gonna cut into this thing and see how it is. I hope, yeah, I think I'm through it. And let's see how great this stuff tastes. It looks good. Okay. There, it's coming. Been in the refrigerator overnight. Look at that. Uh-oh. I lost half of it. Can't do that. Now, I got some strawberries. Some sweet stuff on top of some sweet stuff. Uh-oh. Lost the strawberry. Now, this is, I'll take that piece that just fell off there. There we go. Oh God, that's good. That's very good. Okay. Yeah, that's good.